Good morning, children. So, in the previous class, we have done that how a thief was killed in a rich merchant's house and how his brother just claimed compensation or justice from the king. Okay, so he went to the king and he told that he wants justice. So, let's continue with the chapter. When the merchant arrived, the king questioned him, "What's your name?" "Such and such, your highness." "You were at home when the dead man burgled your house?" "Yes, my lord. He broke in and the wall was weak, it fell on him." So the merchant was called. The king just asked his name. He told that such and such means any name he has spoken, it's not mentioned here, the name of the merchant. And when the king just asked that, "Were you at home when the thief entered your house or he just sneaked your house?" So at that time he told that yes, and as the wall was weak, it fell on him and he died. The accused pleads guilty. "Your wall killed this man's brother. You have murdered a man. We have to punish you." And that's why the king just told that yes, you are to be blamed for this and now we are going to punish you. Lord said, the helpless merchant, "I didn't put up the wall. It's really the fault of the man who built the wall. He didn't build it right. You should punish him." "Who is that?" So what he told? That yes, Lord said the helpless merchant, "I didn't put up the wall." He just told that I am not to be blamed because he has not made the wall. In fact, the mason, the one who has just made the wall, should be punished. So the king just asked, "Who is that, my lord? This wall was built in my father's time. I know the man. He's an old man now. He lives nearby." So the merchant told that yes, I know the man, and he has built this house or the wall in my father's time, and he's a very old man. So the king sent out messengers to bring him in the bricklayer, means the mason, the one who makes the wall, who had built the wall. They brought him tied hand and foot. So what happened? They just brought him and they have tied his hand and foot. "You there, did you build this man's wall in his father's time?" So he just asked, the king asked that, "Have you prepared this uh, house or the wall of this merchant's?" Okay, or he just asked him that, "Have you prepared this man's wall in his father's time?" So the bricklayer had just told that yes. "What kind of a wall is this that you built?" "It has fallen on a poor man and killed him. You have murdered him. We have to punish you by death." So he told that yes, you have murdered him and now we are going to punish you by death. Before the king could order the execution, the poor bricklayer pleaded, "Please listen to me before you give your orders. It's true. I built this wall and it was not good, but that was because my mind was not on it. I remember very well a dancing girl who was going up and down that street all day with her anklets jingling." He says that yes, you are right, that I have not made the good wall, but I am not to be blamed because my mind was diverted by a dancing girl, okay, and who was just going up and down the street all the day with her anklets. That's why I was disturbed. I couldn't keep my eyes or mind on the wall I was building. You must get the dancing girl. I know where she lives." So, to whom he has just passed on his blame? To a dancing girl, dad. And he told that I know the dancing girl where she lives. "You are right. The case depends. We must look into it. It is not easy to judge such complicated cases. Let's get that dancer wherever she is." The dancing girl, now an old woman, came trembling to the court. So the dancing girl, that time she was a girl, but now she has become an old lady. So with a very trembling hand, a shaking hand, she just came to the court. "Did you walk up and down the street many years ago while this poor man was building a wall? Did you see him?" "Yes, my lord, I remember it is very well." So that woman also agreed that yes, whatever the man is saying is right. She had just disturbed. She was just she had passed so many times. Okay, and she might have disturbed him. So you did walk up and down with your anklets jingling. You were young and you distracted him. So he built a bad wall. It has fallen on a poor bugler, bugler and killed him. You have killed an innocent man. You will have to be punished. So the king just told that you have done this. Okay, you have just killed an innocent thief, and that's why you are to be blamed. She thought for a minute and said, "My lord, wait, I know now why I was walking up and down that street. I had given some gold to the goldsmith to make some jewelry for me. He was a lazy scoundrel. He made so many excuses, said he would give it now and he would give it then, and so on all day. He made me walk up and down to this house a dozen times. So he said that no, please don't blame me. I'm not to be blamed because at that time she remembered that she has given some jewelry. Okay, she has to take to make some. She has given some gold to the goldsmith to prepare some jewelry, and that man was really very lazy, and now and then he had just given him excuse that today he will give, or that day, or next day, and that's why the girl has to just go up and down. That was when this bricklayer saw me. It's not my fault, my lord, it's the damn goldsmith's fault. So what he told that no, I am not to be blamed. Who to be blamed? The blame to be goldsmith. Poor thing, she's absolutely right, thought the king. Weighed the evidence. We have got the right culprit at last. So the king was very happy that yes, at last we got the right culprit. Get the goldsmith wherever he is hiding at once. The king's bailiffs searched for the goldsmith who was hiding in a corner of his shop. When he heard the accusation against him, he had his own story to tell. So when he just come to know the blame, the accusation, at that time he had his own story. Okay, what he told or to whom he has blamed, let's see. My lord, he said, I am a poor goldsmith. It's true, I made this dancer come many times to door. I gave her excuses because I couldn't finish making her jewelry before I finished the rich merchant's order. They had a wedding coming and they wouldn't wait. You know how impatient rich men are. So what he told, that I am not to be blamed. To whom to be blamed? The king or the they to be blamed. So we just come to know that the dancing girl just blamed Goldsmith. Okay. So what he told, that really the goldsmith the goldsmith to be blamed. My lord, he said, I'm a poor goldsmith. It's true, I made this dancer come many times to my door. I gave her excuses because I couldn't finish making her jewelry before I finished the rich merchant's orders. So what he told, that yes, she is very much right. I had just make her come to my house, to my door many times by giving excuses, but he was not supposed to complete her work complete his work of a rich merchant's order. Okay, means he was not able to do the work of the merchant, and that's why he has not completed her work also. They had a wedding coming and they wouldn't wait because there was a wedding in their house, in the rich merchant's house, and they can't wait. You know how impatient rich men are. Who is this rich merchant who kept you from finishing this poor woman's jewelry, made her walk up and down with distracted this bricklayer, which made a mess of his wall, which has now fallen on an innocent man and killed him? Can you name him? So he just asked that, tell me the name of the merchant who had just created so many problem. Okay, and because of him only the mason was not able to concentrate, and now this has become the reason why an innocent man is killed. The goldsmith named the merchant, and he was none other than the original owner of the house. Okay, so what happened when the goldsmith told the name of the merchant? So the name of the merchant was the same merchant, okay, in whose house the thief had just entered. Now justice had come full circle, thought the king back to the merchant. When he was rudely summoned back to the court, he arrived crying, "It wasn't me, but my father who ordered the jewelry. He is dead, I am innocent." So, what the merchant's son told? Dad, why are you blaming me? It's my father's fault. He had just placed the order, okay? And now he's dead, and I am innocent. But the king consulted his minister and ruled decisively. It's true your father is the true murderer. He's dead, but somebody must be punished in his place. You have inherited everything from that criminal father of yours, his riches as well as his sins. I knew at once, even when I set eyes on you, that you were at the root of this horrible crime. You must die. So he says that yes, you have just owned each and everything of your father, the richness and all this thing, okay? You have got the property, the richness, the goodness of your father. So you equally you should take the crime and the sins of your father, okay? So whatever sin has been done by your father, you are to be blamed, you have to take it, so you must die. And he ordered a new stake to be made ready for the execution. As the servants sharpened the stake and got it ready for the simple impaling of the criminal, it occurred to the minister that the rich merchant was somehow too thin to be properly executed on the stake. He appealed to the king's common sense. The king too worried about it. So they have just put the gallows and they have just made that noose also. And noose means what we say, a rope, okay, like this a rope is there, and we just fix it in the uh, neck, okay? So that that doesn't fit him. So what he told, that the merchant was too thin and it doesn't fit him. That's why he told that now what to be done. What shall we do, he said, when suddenly it struck him that all they needed to do was to find a man fat enough to fit the stake. So, as they have set the gallows, and according to the law, okay, now they have set the gallows and noose and everything. So they thought that yes, someone to be killed. So they thought that yes, now let's see a fat man whose neck to be fixed in that noose. The servants were immediately sent all over the town looking for a man who would fit the stake, and their eyes fell on the disciple who had fattened himself for months on bananas and rice and wheat and ghee. So suddenly their eyes just fell on disciple. We have starting in the starting we have read that how the disciple and his guru just came to this city, okay? So that same disciple had just become very fat by eating ghee and banana. So suddenly their eyes just fell on him, and they just decided that yes, this man would be perfectly fit, or his neck would be perfectly fit in the nose. So in this module only this much. We will continue in the next module, okay? Thank you, children.